Sometimes you just have to strike while the iron's hot. I've only got a few minutes here to respond to an email, and I won't read the email, I won't say anything about the email, in fact, the reason being that the person in two separate, in the first message and then a subsequent message, asked me to basically keep everything private, their name, their information, long detailed email, and then a subsequent message, excuse me, holding both hands. Yeah, I am drinking coffee. I need it today. I really need it. Got to finish. I only got 2 days left on my testing thing, and I've got to complete. I've done the whole test thing, for this training stuff, and I'm doing it again before the test. I've done all the studying, so I've only 2 days left. I got to finish it today, so I need a little caffeine to get through it. I just won't. It's kind of boring. So anyway, back to the thing. So I got the second email asking me not to mention about the part where this person said that they want to hurt themselves, and I was walking around thinking about it and how to answer this, and I was thinking that really what kind of comes down to is this person's situation is one where they feel alone and in pain and desperate, and now are thinking about hurting themselves, and describes a world where nobody seems to understand, where nobody seems to relate to the pain that she feels, I've given the gender, it's a female, but there's no way anybody could figure out who this is. But there's no way that anyone could relate to what's happening, and she's describing the situation where she reaches out to others, but nobody seems to grasp it or respond in kind, or even to offer a sympathetic ear. And I was walking along trying to think, how am I going to talk about this without talking about it? And I was realizing that may be part of the problem. Part of the problem is that it may be what you're describing to me, your unwillingness to have yourself exposed, may be what's coming across to the rest of the world. You may be thinking that you're sharing with others, but in fact nobody is really seeing what's going on because of your concern for privacy and probably the embarrassment about being someone that's going through a suffering state. And I think that might be the answer right there. That perhaps if you can, I have to walk a little bit because I do have to get to work. Perhaps if you can, I don't know how to do this. This is not something, because getting over that apprehension is not something that you just get over. It's not something you just decide to do. It's something that comes with practice, usually involuntary practice, where you simply you get slammed by life, and you manage to survive and go on and not lose your good humor or your optimistic character. And eventually, when that happens enough, you get to the point where you kind of realize, hey, I've been knocked down 16 times and I keep getting up and I'm relatively okay. I've got some scars and some bruises. And the main thing that's fascinating is that people begin to notice. I mean, sometimes just getting knocked down enough, people notice. But then especially if you start talking about it and are more open about it and sharing about what's happened, I made this foolish mistake, and wasn't I an idiot? Shouldn't I have studied something better? I'm not talking about you in particular now. I'm just using generalizations, perhaps some of my own. Perhaps I should have done better in college and got a better degree so I could have a better job and not be stuck doing what I'm doing right now. Or perhaps I should have been better, this is one of mine, when I had all that money and found a way to keep it rather than squander it and waste it away. Or maybe that person that it would have been the love of my life that I lost to my careless or reckless behavior. When you share that kind of stuff with the world, what usually happens is you find that others that are experiencing that, even if they don't say it, they are drawn to that in a way. You have to be careful how you do it. If you do it in an unsettling way, where you're burdening someone else with it, they don't want anything to do with that. But if you do it in a kind of a offhand, casual way, like, I made that video called, How I Lost $1 Million. And I've received lots of email from people to whom that touched in a way because they said that they had experienced that kind of monetary folly themselves and were very embarrassed about it, and that it kind of was touching to hear somebody describe it in an open, frank manner. And I got the feedback that I wasn't necessarily after, but it's good. It's good. It feels good. So maybe maybe that's the key. Maybe if you feel like you're in pain and the world is oblivious, maybe it's because your pain is so well hidden that no one can see it and really relate. And remember, everyone else, and there's very few people that are running around with a mind that is not dogged by anxiety and the ever-present voice, criticizing and complaining. So when people are walking down the street and they have their head down, usually there's something on their mind. There's usually some internal thing that's going on that is distracting them. And if they seem like they're not seeing you, it's probably because they're distracted with themselves. But if you become a person that is saying, hey, here I am. Sometimes I'm a fool. Sometimes I'm an okay guy. Sometimes, or gal. Sometimes I make mistakes, and a lot of times I don't. A lot of times I manage to just get by. They get curious about that. It's something interesting to see someone who's survived trials and keeps a smile on their face, or has survived trials and may not want to smile, but is trying to do things to make life a little better. The people that are, otherwise had their heads down and walking on the street, going to go perk up. What the heck? What's up with this guy or gal? How do they manage to do that? And they may be curious to hear it, and they may open up about their lives, and you may find yourself in physical or across the internet correspondence and companionship and fraternity or sorority with like-minded people, which is everybody, because we're all like-minded insofar as living and surviving the challenges of life. So that would be my advice to you then, is to first off, if you really are, well, first off, my first advice would be, if you really are thinking about those desperate thoughts, please see a professional. Because I'm just a guy walking on the street with a cup of coffee I shouldn't be drinking because I got to take a test because I'm a fool and I wouldn't keep all the money I earned. So I mean, I'm just a guy. So don't take my advice, but see a professional about that. But otherwise, the other stuff, just try to be more open. You'll find no one's going to point at you and go, I mean, very few people are going to go, you're a fool. And if they do that, then they just outed themselves as someone you don't really need to be with anyway. But I can tell you, almost nobody's going to do that. Most people are going to simply be like, wow, and they're going to put an arm around you, and they're going to ask to have an arm put around them, and then you both might be getting what you need. Take care, my friend. Good luck.